Hi, this is BZ Rieger with the Quantum Playground, and I wanted to play with some questions today. I had a question come in a conversation, and they said, I know that all of these systems are an illusion, but geez, it seems like they still have me on the ropes. So how do I help? The question was, how do I help break what's left of the systems down and not feed them anymore? And I love the question, I love the conversation, because it's a really thoughtful one. Instead of spending all their time annoyed with the system or railing against the system or feeling trapped or feeling like they still had to go along in the system, they were acknowledging all of that, sharing the things that they were doing to not do any of those things I just mentioned, and wanting to know ways that they could speed up the actual, realistic, tangible out there of the collapse of all these systems. So one of the first ways I answered that was that, and this one is usually a hard one, at least at the beginning. Sometimes it's not for some people. But the systems are an illusion in that they were rules that were made up and we were told to follow them, and they seemed like they had the right, the power, the organization to set that up, and our very acquiescence, our kind of doing what we were told, following what we were told from wee ones, is one of the delicious and devilish ways that they've been able to fairly easily, actually, perpetrate the continuance of all of these. So it doesn't matter whether you're 20 or 55 or 85. In all of those age spans, they've been doing this in eons past. This is not a new thing. I just want to reiterate this. It's not in the last 50 or 100 years that this is happening. This is not a Democrat or a Republican thing. All of those are illusions as well. So, but I did want to focus on how to aid in dissolving it and not actively give your power or have your power taken away from it. And it's an inside job. So it is a state of mind, it's a state of heart. And the way that I look at it and put it into practice years ago, when I, in little ways and then bigger and bigger and bigger ways, started to actively, demonstrably do this, was to look at different pieces of the systems and structures out there and look at them as tools. They were my tools for my benefit, knowing full well the illusion, the lie, the deceit, the corruption, the fraud, yada, 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 that they were, and using it for my tool. So for an example, a telephone, I remember as a child, my parents were, always on the phone. They worked in ABC Sports and stuff. Anyways, the phone was always ringing, and then the phone was their master. And I thought, well, that's a terrible way to live your life. It's one thing to work hard and do things and all that kind of stuff, but that, to be at the beck and call and behest and jump up. So when I was very little, I decided, well, for me, the phone was my tool. And I could use it to do different things that you use a phone for, and to advance my career and all that kind of stuff. But I would use it on my terms, and it would work for me. And so if I was not interested in picking up the phone or had set aside no phone times, then I stuck to it. And so I just use it as an example, because that would be a good one for people to employ. Your phone is your tool, and it is not your taskmaster, which even if you think it's pleasurable for checking Facebook or Twitter or watching a video or whatever it is, you know, phones will go down, the internet system will go down. There'll be other replacements, other iterations of it that will come up fairly quickly. But all of that is attachments, and we label that under the guise of, well, I like my phone, or I like to be connected, or I have to see what's going on. And we can do all of that with our own icons. Anyways, that's a whole other conversation. So back to this. So if it's your banking, a bank account, then use the bank account for specifically what you want to use it for and how it supports you. And don't use it to follow through on any of the other things that they've prescribed and laid out for you. So for example, use it to cash your checks. Whether you have a business and you have clients sending you money, or you work for somebody else, use it as a pass-through. Turn that into available cash and take the cash out of the system. Then you might want to do other things to convert the FRN's Federal Reserve notes, debt notes, into something else, and that's entirely up to you, however you feel to do that. That's what I do. So it comes in, and then it comes right back out, and it goes into various other things, or sits and turns into various other things eventually. So that'd be one thing. The phone is another. Any kind of other systems, any structures, it's going to be different for everyone, what kind of systems they're using, involved with. The main thing is not per se an external, tangible thing. It's a heart thing, it's a mind thing, it's an emotional thing, it's an inside job. Because if you're feeling that you're subject to, and it's a fear-based thing, that's something that you can absolutely work on. And resolve and integrate and change that so that you're the master of it and not the other way around. If it's an anger thing, if it's a frustration thing, that's also actually comes from fear, and it would be the same thing. There are so many ways that people do this, and it really has to deal with your own comfort level. I would say the very first thing, and this won't be satisfying to some people who, I don't know, want to torch your building, or go put rubbish on a banker's desk, but it really is the powerful way. It is the tool. It ultimately is what you have, and the most powerful thing that you have. And that is you removing yourself, disengaging yourself from the false construct, mental false construct, emotional false construct of the system and its hooks and talons in you. So remove that. Educate yourself. Understand what's going on. Understand how all the dots connect. Understand what's gone on and how to be aware of that, knowledgeable of that. And then tune into what you want. And yes, ultimately the bringing down so it changes. But how you interact with it, how you hold it, how you feel about it, changes everything. It may sound too simple, it may sound fantastical, it may sound bullshit. Well, okay. Great. If that's the way you feel, good. That's your feeling. That's cool. I can tell you from direct experience of knowing for myself, and for so many other millions of people, that that's not the case at all. That this is really how we disentangle. So it's an illusion. how many movies have you seen, or they're maybe a spy thriller or sci-fi or something, or Star Trek, I think many away missions they were on, and you said, no, that's an illusion. That thing isn't really there. That wall isn't really there. That monster isn't really there. That whatever it is, Chekhov really isn't gone, or Kirk's standing right there, or Picard is right over there. Whatever generation of Star Trek, and what the away team in this case realized that there was an illusion being posited in their mind, even in Data's neural net, and by knowing it, realizing it, and in essence reprogramming their mind in that moment about that, they could see that it wasn't there. So they could walk through, in essence, this snarling beast that was there, and if you believed it was there, it snarled and ate you up. And if you didn't, you could walk right by it. So that's actually, come to think about it, another beautiful thing of hidden in plain sight, where all along the how-tos, they're out there. They're hidden in plain sight in all of these wildly popular movies and books and all sorts of stuff. So knowing from your heart is, and coming from your heart, is the greatest sword and shield and savior of oneself, so to say, that we have. So it's a complicated thing or a very simple thing, and that depends on your perspective, and it depends on where your heart is. And I just wanted to do a short one, probably do a longer conversation on this, but I wanted to do a short one because this being did ask me, and we did have a conversation about it. And the conversation went pretty much like this, them sharing some of the things that they are already doing. Some of the ones I've mentioned, they were doing similar things. And when they were done with the conversation, they felt better because it resonated with inside them what their own instinct, their own intuition, their own knowing was telling them, their own guidance, their own nudges were giving them. And they walked off because they had done it for themselves, empowered to do things more full throttle in that. And a lot of those things that they are feeling into doing are internal things. Kind of, you hold yourself in a certain carriage, they're holding their heart in a certain carriage, they're holding their mind in a very different carriage. Like, it's down here, off-camera level, and following the heart. Some of it was actual, in physical actions that they can take. But again, all of it led by their heart and holding it in a different way. And when they had conversations or things came up, interactions, they were beholding them in a totally different way, using them as new ways to open up conversations. And again, using the tools. So for me, what I do is I use that anytime because I want to do a certain thing and I need to use an existing old broken tool, I do that knowing full well what it is. But I use it as a way to have a conversation with whoever I'm interfacing with as it relates to that system or structure. And that opens up worlds. So I'm using the system as a tool for my benefit, and not at all under the thumb of it, not at all at its behest, and not at all in a fearful way, whether that's fear and cringing or fear and combative. And at the same time, I'm spreading the energy, the awareness, the openness, the knowingness into beings that are right in that system at all different levels. And the eye-opening conversations are great fun. So it's an inside job. You carry it how you will, and you'll choose the way to carry it. We are all going to do this. We're all going to open our hearts. We're all going to let go of the fear. We're all going to realize that we're not small. We're all going to be in the fantastical, every moment of every moment. And how we get there and when we choose to do that is entirely up to us. And the energies will just keep nudging and shaking and rumbling and bowling us over until we go, oh, okay, perhaps a different way. So it's all good. It's all perfect and perfectly done. And I love you.